We've had a lot of successful business owners on the site shed. If you've been listening to the podcast, you will no doubt have heard many of them. However, we have not yet had anybody that is in the franchising game. And you don't really hear a whole lot of companies in the franchising game within the building industry. However, the gentleman that I've got on the show today is certainly kicking some massive goals in that space. Jeremy Dyer is from Total Fitouts, and they basically specialise entirely on fit-outs. So they've really niched themselves into this industry, and they're really kicking some serious goals throughout Asia Pacific on that front. So this is a fantastic interview. I hope you all enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, please head across to the show notes and remember to leave us a review. That would be fantastic. Or likewise, head over to iTunes, Stitcher or SoundCloud and do the same.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
I just want to make a quick shout out to a review that was left on iTunes from Valerie Koo. Valerie says, awesome show. If you're a tradie, this is a must. I could not agree with you more, Valerie. Thank you very much. And I also want to make mention of one initiative that we have just launched, which is called Learn and Ski. Now, basically in August, we are taking a group of trade-based business owners over to New Zealand, and we're going to be skiing in the morning. We're going to be running a workshop in the afternoon. So the mindset behind that was I wanted to create an event that gave you guys a way that you could go on a bit of a holiday, take a bit of time out, yet still invest in your business, still justify it. And if you've got a smart accountant, you'll be able to implement some sort of tax deduction, I am sure. So head across to thesiteshed.com/events if that interests you. There are limited tickets available for this event. So if you want to come, jump in, and they're going pretty quick. So by the time this podcast goes live, they may not be available. However, put your name down anyway, and we'll keep you up to date with the ones that are coming out in the future. On the news front, I've never done this before, but I want to make a broadcast on the fact that we've just seen some notifications come through from Google. Basically, as of May, if you do not have a mobile responsive website, you are going to be in a lot of trouble. So they've rolled this out for about a year now, but they've just said that they're going to strengthen this signal. This is a very big warning. If you do not have a mobile responsive website, you need to get one. Obviously, at Tradie Web Guys, we build mobile responsive websites for tradies and contractors. So head across to tradiewebguys.com.au. Alternatively, just send me an email, matt@tradiewebguys.com.au, and we will get you sorted as soon as we can. And hopefully you won't be affected, but time is running out. Okay, that's all. Hello and welcome back to Toolbox Talks, and today I'm speaking with Jeremy Dyer from Total Fitouts. Jeremy, thank you for joining us.
Not a problem, Matt. Good to be here.
Absolutely. How are you, mate? All good?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Just kicking it through for a Wednesday.
Nice. You're up on the Gold Coast, right?
Sunshine Coast.
Sunny
the
Coast.
Better version of the Gold Coast, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. We might be up there with you soon, I think.
Good to hear.
So we got introduced through a mutual colleague. I was at a networking function a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me how he ran into me because he listens to the podcast, and he said, I actually ran into a very interesting fellow at the airport the other week, and that fellow happened to be you, I suppose. What happened? That was a bit of a random introduction, I hear.
Mate, that was actually a very random introduction. I spent a lot of time at airports, and I happened to be there for that one with my ex-wife, which was interesting enough, and I think we stole his seat, and he said, "Oh, okay," we sort of had that awkward pause and look, and he gave us that, that look of innocence, and I'm a nice bloke, and said, come and sit down, come and join us. It'll take away some of the awkwardness to start with. So we end up having a good chat.
That's hilarious. Well, if you're listening out there, Matt, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so I asked him if he'd connect us, and he did, which was great. So yeah, man, I've heard you got a pretty cool story, and a bit of what it sounds like a bit of a rags to riches tale. So I really want to just sort of dive in. As you may be aware, I don't know if you listen to the podcast, but a lot of the one of the big messages we try and deliver out there is, where you start is not where you end up. And, just by entering into an apprenticeship doesn't mean you're going to be on the shovel when you're 50 years old. So, yeah, mate, I really wanted to, I suppose, dive a little bit deeper into your story and help communicate that to our audience.
Yeah, great, mate. I'd love to. That's very much behind the way we work, and I work as a person too. So
rock and roll. All right, so let's dive in, eh? What did you want to be when you were a kid?
Well, funny enough, and this is a strange thing for a 12-year-old to go to his parents and say, I want to do, but from the age of 12, I always wanted to be a developer in property. And that was, I always knew I wanted to be in business, but actually was focused towards property development.
Right. Things. Okay. Was there a reason for that? Or
look, I think I grew up with my parents both doing renovations in the house, and we grew up living in a ball of dust, as anybody that's been through a renovation can appreciate. And mate, I was just surrounded by it, and I think it just interests me, the hands-on approach to it, but also the strategic side to it as well.
Yeah. Are you an organizer?
Look, I've had to force myself to be an organizer, and as any good person in business does, what you're not great at, you employ people to do. So I've got a very good organizer literally staring at me in the office as we speak.
I'll send a virtual wave my way.
Will do.
Cool. Well, tell me about your transition into a trade.
Yeah. So look, I've interesting thing. I don't actually have a trade myself. I'm one of those guys that didn't get to finish school. Not that I didn't get to, it just wasn't really for me, and I chose not to. Went outside of that and looked at doing a trade, but actually fell into sales initially. So having done that, and that interest in business development, I actually got to a crux, I suppose, in my life where I went, what am I doing? I ended up working for a bank. Now, if you can imagine, you don't know me well yet, but I'm quite a charismatic bloke and love a good laugh and a bit of a larrikin. And let's be honest, a bank is not a place for a bloke like me. Right. And I sat there after a year and just said, what am I doing? And I decided I'm going to go do a mature age apprenticeship. Now, this was at the age of 23, 24. And I looked at that, and one perk of the bank, you earn good money. It was pretty set hours, and you didn't have to work too hard. It was always air conditioned, and I was used to that. I don't really have tradie hands. And I sat there and I went, I can't really do this mature age apprenticeship for what I need to go back onto. So I contacted a builder that I knew, and I'd known him for a number of years. And I said to Glenn, his name was, I said, Glenn, look, I'm very good at this front end side of things. All right. When I was 21, I actually got asked to be a BDM for a commercial fit out company, which I did for a couple of years. This was just prior to going into the bank. And I actually worked for this fit out company as a national BDM role, selling veterinary clinics, effectively, veterinary clinics and medical fit outs. So we did that all across Australia. And like I said, I moved from that into the bank. Now, I called Glenn and I said, Glenn, mate, I really want to be a trade. I want to be a developer. I've had that dream since age 12, but I don't really want to earn $600 a week. I was married at the time, and obviously that's not a great thing to go home to your wife to do and say, hey, look, I want to literally, over halve my income. How do you feel about that? Which I'm sure most of your listeners will appreciate. Mm-hmm. As they say, happy wife, happy life, right?
Apparently,
yeah, so they say. So look, I said to him, let's have a think about this. And what I worked out very quickly was, and having been in that trade space for, a number of years prior to that, I worked out builders and tradespeople aren't necessarily great at the front end of business. They're very good at what they do, and they're technicians. They're brilliant at that. It's like you wouldn't ask me to build a house for you. And so I said to Glenn, I said, look, I'm very good at this. You're very good at that. Let's go 50-50 and build a business off this.
Yeah, right.
And as a 50-year-old as he was twice my age at the time, and he sort of, he saw that as his exit strategy. Obviously, a young, passionate bloke coming to you saying, I'm going to make you $1 million, makes them always very happy and chirpy.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So there's a couple of strong messages, I think, in that. Firstly, from a business owner's point of view, strategic partnerships with people that complement your skill set is paramount. And then I suppose as well, like from where you stood, you had an inkling you wanted to get into an industry. You weren't really sure how you were going to do it, and you saw that opportunity and just, put it on the line and went out there and went for it. Sounds like it paid off.
Mate, look, it did. That worked. That partnership worked well for a couple of years, and it came to a point where it was time for me to move on. Like I said, Glenn was twice my age and wanted to slow down, and I was young and energetic and wanted to take on the world. So that's one thing about partnerships, that you've got to be very careful at who you go into business with, and just understanding where they are, where their focus is and their drive is, and where yours is, and making sure those two align. It's like any relationship.
Yep. Okay. So if you had your time again, do you think you would have maybe started an apprenticeship earlier in the piece?
Do you know what? To be honest, no. I think for me and my personality, I probably wouldn't have stuck it out, I would have got frustrated very quickly. As much as I probably would have enjoyed it, I probably would have got frustrated very quickly. So I think I learned a lot going the direction I went in terms of actually working in the industry, but from a sales perspective and understanding what people want from that side as an end user.
Well, look, it's one of those things. I mean, it's another message, which is really strong in our industry. As tradespeople, you go and do all your courses and your apprenticeships, and you get your TAFE license and all that kind of stuff. But no one really at any stage teaches you how to run a business. So it's almost you see it all the time. All these really tradespeople that are really good at what they do, but they're just, like you said, they're not really great at the business end of things. So I mean, that's one of the reasons we started the site shed, just to give people access to those sort of resources, bring it all into one sort of centralized location. So yeah, I'm glad that you agree with me on that.
No, 100%. I actually love what you're doing with that, because it is such a shortfall, not just even in that industry, but in any technical industry. I've seen that through the health industry. These doctors, these dentists, they come out and they are great technicians, just like builders, but literally they don't teach them how to run a business. And I only learnt by making a lot of mistakes and by surrounding myself with great mentors that were willing to teach.
Cool. So how did you move into Total Fitouts?
Look, so as I mentioned then, I had a mentor. One of my mentors was the CEO of GJ Gardner Homes. Now, Darren, I caught up with him for brekkie. I just said, can I take you out for brekkie once a month? And I did that for a couple of years. And I actually went to him initially to say, how do I, end this current business partnership? What's the integral way of doing it and the correct way of doing it? And he said, well, what are you doing? And I said, well, funny you asked that. I said, I've got this idea. And I said, my biggest pain point in my past business was that, as one business based on the Sunshine Coast, I was trying to do work from past north of Townsville, and I did work right down to Victoria, out in Greensboro, Victoria. And the issue with doing that, although it's good, and I love the travel, you actually can't offer the same level of service when you spread yourself so thin. Mm. And there was only two real ways to look at, I suppose, changing that and offering a better solution on that. And that was to open up offices in every state and fully staff that. Or the second option was to, don't reinvent the wheel. And I looked at GJ Gardner Homes as a business and a model, and they're a franchise model. And what they did was take great builders in each of these local areas, help them to become better business people, and actually set up local offices within their own local region. So not only do you then have a model that helps builders in their local area be more successful, they're making more money because they're not traveling all across the country. They're actually making an effect in their local community and getting a bigger and better name because they're working with a national brand. So I said, well, imagine if we could do that in the fit-out space, because there is no one in the world doing that currently. And so that is how we got started. So I pitched that idea to him, and 24 hours later, we started Total Fitouts.
So when you say we, is it you and him?
So we've actually got myself and 4 other business partners. So Greg Gardner of GJ Gardner Homes, and I've got another 2 business partners, Corey and Lee, who run a business called Smith & Sons, which once again is another franchise-based business specialising in renovations and extensions. So
yeah, right.
Between the 5 of us, we cover off new homes, renovations and extensions, and commercial fit-outs.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great little lead sharing opportunity.
Mate, it is fantastic. It is fantastic. And just, for us, a big part of it is obviously having a huge network of people and suppliers, and being able to work with them because of the power of the group.
Yep. So one of the big things we try and I try and when I consult with businesses is to try and help them niche themselves. And the reason you do that is, well, firstly, you can't be everything to everyone, or if you try to do that, you'll end up being nothing to anyone. So I look at your business and I see that's something you've done very well. You've sort of niched yourself into that fit-out arena. Was that always the plan?
Yeah, look, it was. From the very start, the one thing I knew was the fit-out industry. And it made sense to me, well, if I know that well, if I know there's a market there, let's not try, like you said, let's not try to do everything, but let's do what we do and let's do it well. And it's funny, actually, my slogan for Total Fitouts is Fitouts made simple.
Yep.
And, the only way you can do that is do one thing and do it well, and just simplify the process as you go.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's really hard from a marketing point of view when you're trying to, position yourself as the expert in everything. Like builders that come to us and they're like, well, we do new homes and we do commercial work and then we do residential repair and we do all this stuff. And then I say, okay, what do you want to really focus on? And they're like, well, all of it. It's a nightmare from a marketing point of view because you're never going to compete on everything,
Look, and you just can't. And that's one thing we actually made very clear when we bring new guys on. Most of our guys have built homes. They have done, industrial building. They have done bits of fit outs. We say, all right, contractually, you're doing one thing. We want you full time in this business focusing on fit outs, because if you don't put your direction straight into one thing, you're just going to get lost and you're going to do everything half-assed.
Yeah. So is it a franchise style model that you're running?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've got franchisees located all over the place?
Yeah, correct. So we've got about 15 branches across Australia and New Zealand, plus 5 state offices. So we've just jumped into New Zealand and WA. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're constantly growing. I'd say we'll probably double in the next 12 months.
Yeah, wow.
Which brings a whole nother set of challenges.
And a whole other probably series of podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, managing growth is an epic battle on any level. So I'll be interested to see how you handle that. Maybe 12 months. We'll check back in and see where you're at.
More than happy to share.
So, I mean, you did touch on it, but what was the pivotal moment for you entering into Total Fitouts?
Look, the big moment for me was that point of frustration. As I said before, that I was doing work right across the East Coast, but I couldn't offer that exact same level of service. And I come from a service background. I mean, I started working flipping burgers at McDonald's, but then moving into sales and customer service roles, managing retail space and telecommunications. So I came from a people-orientated business. And, as a people pleaser, I get very frustrated when I can't give someone my all and give them the best level of service or the best product at the end of the day. And I knew I honestly couldn't do that by having one business in one place and one location, and without a team, because as well as I do, and your listeners know, that unless you have a team that cover off the skill sets, and there's such an importance in team, and that's what we teach our guys as well, that you're not good at everything. So, I mean, to give you a bit of insight into the way we focus with our teams, we look at 3 things. We say there's 3 parts to your business: sales, estimating, and delivery. And my question is, which one are you? Yeah. Because you can't be everything. And sometimes you have to be everything, but you need to recognize where your strengths are and then try either outsource or improve yourself in those other areas until you can actually bring in the resources to do that. Yeah, okay. So that was the pivotal moment for me. I just went, it was probably out of frustration for, drive for wanting something bigger and, amazing, but then being so frustrated by not being able to do that in the current circumstance I was in. Yeah. So does your franchise model sort of train guys to develop those 3 areas of business? Yeah, correct. Yeah. We have specialised training. When these guys come on board, we spend a good amount of time with them up front before they even get out into the field teaching, and helping them understand that, working with them on the systems and how we do that, and actually giving them the skill sets to be better business people. And then we have an ongoing training with them that we work with our state managers to work with them on a weekly basis. They're constantly in contact. They're constantly having franchise meetings. So like every quarter, we actually bring all our teams together in that state and, we have them share. Yep. Sometimes some of the best learns you'll ever have are from your peers. Yeah. Because they're all facing the same challenges. They're all doing similar things. And then for them to be able to go, hey, I did this the other day and it worked. Sometimes that's the best way, our guys will learn. Yeah. So I'm a bit of a technology geek. Well, I suppose one of the big focuses of the site shed is teaching guys how to implement technology and tools and processes and systems into their business. We might just, in a little segue here, just ask you what tools are you guys currently using, especially from a system development and store. How do you share all your systems, create them? What program are you using for that? Yeah, look, we use a few different systems. We actually just converted about 6 months ago across to Google. Nice. Yep. Music to my ears. Music to your ears. Look, it's It's not easy, actually. Implementing a lot of these systems isn't an easy thing, especially when you've got a number of teams and you've actually got to bring them over onto new systems.
Yeah.
For me, I had to implement and I hired an operations manager who specializes in that because, let's be honest, systems isn't my personal skill set. I can tell someone how to do it, but I'm not very good at actually doing it. So, I had Joel in there, and so we implemented Google. We now use
Google Sites.
We use their mail system. We use their video calling system, calendar, everything like that. That also integrates with our main system, which we use a program called Enterprise, and we actually had that developed into a franchise based system for us. It's a system called Simpro, and we actually worked with them to completely develop their program for us. Mm-hmm. And that's a continual development. Now that covers everything. We use that as a CRM. They estimate through that. They, project manage through that. They do variations, RFIs. We literally go from, start to finish using that program. And then
stock take?
Look, a lot of our guys don't actually hold stock. That's the one thing about our business. To stand apart, I recognize that a lot of our competitors had massive, massive overheads as local businesses. And we actually saw a lot more value, and what customers were wanting was more a project management based service. They don't actually care whether I own a joinery factory or don't own a joinery factory, whether I hold all the stock or someone else holds all the stock. They don't actually care. What they want to know is that they're getting great, consistent service and a good product, and it's going to be on time and on budget. So we actually push our guys towards a more project management style of business, which then doesn't require a stock take.
Beautiful. So what do you do in your business? What's your role?
Mate, my role in the business is CEO. So obviously one of the directors and the CEO of the business. What does that mean I actually do? A lot. Everything. Yeah. No, look, my day-to-day now looks around spending a lot of time on the business. I mean, if I look at my office now and I look on, we have a big window that literally has a list full of things that I'd like to implement into the business. I spend a lot of my time working on the business. And I think that's really important that, no matter what business you're in, how big you are as a business, you need to set aside that time to actually be a visionary, work on the business, and not get so caught up in the minute details of that.
Yeah.
Now, it is, look, and I know, I like I said, I started a construction company from zero, and it is the most frustrating thing when you're a small business and you don't have the money or the resources to bring on people to do that. Probably what, works really well there, I found, was just to incorporate a mentor, because it actually allows you to then you physically take time out of your business and you can run ideas by them. They help you create those ideas.
Yeah, okay.
So for me, I spend a lot of time, like I said, on the business. I spend a fair bit of time working with my state teams, so my state managers. And then also when I'm lucky enough and I can take the phone away from my ear or remove my fingers from the email, I love to touch base with my local teams and try to go out and visit them or do an office visit. And then probably the other big majority of my time is actually spent with corporate clients, big corporates like, we work with guys like Leonard's Chicken and, spend time with them and look at how we can better offer them, a service. Schmoozing, mate. Shaking hands and kissing babies, as they say.
Nice. So what do you do when you're not working?
Oh, when I'm not working. Look, often I'll spend time on the ocean ski, go for a run, surf, drink wine. That helps you get through the night.
Yeah, right. Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar.
So if you had the chance to fix one thing in your business at the click of a finger, what would it be?
Mate, it would be my resources gap. I mean, every business goes, like I said, we're about to, I'd say we'll easily double in the next 12 months. And the one thing that you find when you're going through a big growth period, which we've already just had, and, we continue to grow at a rapid rate, is you can never really keep up in terms of your resources. So if I could fix one thing, I would bring in new resources with knowledge in the particular areas that I would like to see it.
So when you say resources, are you talking about people with skill set or?
People with skill set, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there any specific areas which I mean, that's a pretty general, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a general one. So for me, project management would actually be, one of our biggest target areas as a corporate office is, as I mentioned, I spend a lot of time, with other corporate clients, other big franchise groups. These guys do national rollouts every day of the week. There is just a huge amount of work out there. So a big part of my focus is spending time with them and working to align our businesses. Now, that's all good and well. You can get the work in the door. That's the easy part. And I can get the guys doing the work on the ground. What we're really trying to refine at the moment is how do we manage that in between? Because you need somebody that's good with people, but's also technical, but not on the tools. So the communication, I suppose, that midpoint between taking what this corporate client wants, because they only want to deal with one person nationally, but then taking that information and making sure that we deliver well on the back end with our local teams. We can run, like we did just recently, we did 4 jobs at once for a corporate client over 3 different states.
Right.
Which takes coordination. We're lucky because there were 3 different teams. So we're able to do that. I mean, we can handle that in a big way. We can do a lot of jobs for a number of different clients all over the country.
Would that be a testament to the systems you've got in place?
Oh, 100%. Honestly, we could not do that without the systems we've got in place. And that is, like I said, the first person I brought on, after administration was operations.
Yeah.
My operations manager, Joel, is just brilliant at looking at, all right, how do we make this simpler? How do we actually make the communication process a lot more efficient? How do we make sure everybody's getting the same level of communication across the board? Because that creates consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Best advice I've ever been given was actually given to me when I was a young fella. I think I was still about 17. I was working for Harvey Norman, and I was in a sales role, and it was a Tuesday. I remember it as clear as day. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Nobody wanted to be there. It was dead, and this client walked in, and the assistant manager was standing beside me, and I had 2 other staff members on the other side. And he looked at me being an absolute smartass. I hope I can say that on here. He looked at me being an absolute smartass and said, "Come on, mate, don't let fear stop you." And basically saying, go do it, because none of us are going to go do it. Yeah. Anyway, I actually took that more seriously than I've taken a lot of stuff in my life. And I went, actually, that's probably the best piece of advice I've ever been given. Anyway, I went and saw that customer and did probably one of the top 3 biggest sales I ever did with working for Harvey Norman for 2 years. And, that sentence, "Don't let fear stop you," is something that has stuck with me from that day. And I utilize daily. And I'll tell anyone I know, I think that is the best piece of advice I've ever been given.
Yep. I remember someone telling me back when I was an apprentice, actually, don't let fear hold you back. It's a variation.
It is exactly right. I think fear, no matter what we do, fear is actually one of the biggest killers of success.
Oh, yeah, sure.
One of the biggest killers of moving forward.
Yep. So if you could give any advice to any up-and-coming business owners, what would it be?
Well, obviously that. But apart from that, probably the biggest thing, and we've learned this in our business with our state managers as well and our franchisees, is never stop selling. You don't have a business unless you have customers in the doors.
Yeah.
So you can always fix the back end stuff. You can always find a way. Some people spend so much time trying to perfect the back end, but they spend so much time doing that they haven't actually got any customers to use that back end on.
Yeah.
And it'll send you broke.
Yeah, I know, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like you get to the point where you've got so much information in your head, you just need to go and implement
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to actually do something. And people can be paralyzed by the details, I think, often. And details are very important, but you're never going to get everything perfect first time. So I would argue you're never going to get everything perfect, period. No, well, period. You should always constantly be evolving and changing what you do. We, on a daily basis, we meet and go, all right, what have we done wrong? What can we actually do better? Yeah. We need to improve this. And I honestly believe there will never be a day where I stop and go, I'm satisfied with what we're doing. We can always find better ways to do it. So I think if you have the people coming through the front door, and this is very trade specific, and this is what we see in the industry a lot, is that people go in waves. They go out, they get a heap of work, and then they do that work and then go, oh, shit, I've got no work because they've stopped selling. Yeah. So you've always got to put, as much as you need to work on your business, you actually need to be selling your business as well consistently. Yeah, I think it's really important to systemize that sale process as much as you can so that it is constant. And with technology these days, there is so much opportunity to do that. Even at the basic level, like we see so many people that
colleagues, clients of mine, friends of mine even, that they just, even from the basic level of selling, like not following up on proposals and just doing sending out a quote and then never following it up. Like I see it all the time. And it's the simplest thing you can do to improve your conversions is follow up on your quotes.
100%. And, I've got some thoughts on that as well, which I'll share with you later.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, look, I suppose that's one of the brilliant things of, modern technology and cloud technology. There are programs out there that can really help you eliminate that problem to a large degree, if not completely. So if you're not using technology, use it. That's the message.
Exactly. 100%.
What's the best thing you've ever done to find new customers?
Look, we do, a big part of what we do is obviously marketing. We are a marketing machine. That's first and foremost. Yes, we're in Fitouts, but our job is to market. And so we've literally tried everything. Right now we do everything from, goodness me, we do car branding, office branding, great site signing and hoarding. We do Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, websites, electronic digital mail. But honestly, the best bit of marketing I believe you can ever do is face-to-face. Networking and relationship-based marketing is, I think, some of the most powerful marketing you'll ever do.
Yeah, and you know what? I think for builders especially, that is so true. Like I do not have a single client that's not a single building client that is not just always flat out busy with recurring work coming from referrals. So I think one thing that they're not always good at is making sure that when they do get a referral come through, that they have somewhere to send that client that backs up their business and backs up how good they are at what they do. And that's one of our big focuses with most of these guys. They don't need a lead generating tool. They need basically a platform that will enable them to when somebody does get back there, it tells a story about who they are.
And look, there's some really simple strategies, I believe, to doing that. I mean, first and foremost, nobody's going to sell yourself better than you. Second to that, the next best person to sell yourself is somebody that you've really impressed. So a client that is happy with you, as you mentioned. Now, what you've got to look at is how do you keep those clients top of mind? And that's where I think, a lot of the social media and, website and EDMs can come really handy for those clients to remember who you are. Also, too, simple little things. I think we forget this so much. It's like when you first start dating somebody. How often would you go buy them a bunch of flowers or you buy them a box of chocolates? How often do we actually do that for clients and referral clients?
Yeah.
It is the simplest of things that keeps people at the top of mind.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Follow up.
Yeah. And I suppose this may tie into a question that I wanted to ask you. Do you have any tips on winning work or getting better conversions?
Yeah. Okay. Look, on that one, to be honest, is one simple word, and it's value.
Yeah.
Now, the moment you actually understand what, the first thing people think when you say value is they go, oh, price. Who says it's price? I think once you truly understand what the word value means and is, then it really opens up that scope to you winning more work, getting better conversions, because value is different. It comes in like several formats. It's different to everybody. So value may come in price, it may come in quality, it may come in timing. Once you work out what somebody's drive is and what their value proposition is, if you actually sell to that, you're going to win a lot more work.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say that price that really even plays a part in value. I mean, we see this all the time. Like when we build a lot of websites for trade-based businesses, and by no way are we the cheapest in the marketplace. But I tell you what, like the value that customer gets from that product far and large exceeds a lot of the competition out there, and that people are happy to pay it because they know what they're getting. So I imagine it's similar to you as well, I guess.
I 100% agree, Matt. It's you can't actually put a price on value. And that's when you move away from that. And that's actually what I base this whole model off. I remember I used to tender when I had my previous construction business. I used to tender on all my work. And I got to 12 months down the track and I said, I am so sick of tendering on this work. I said, I'm doing it for stupid margins. I was doing it for like 12%, which, my overheads were probably running at, effectively 10% on that.
Yeah.
And it was barely worth it. When you got a couple of people working in the business and you both want to take money from it, I couldn't see the value in that for me personally. So one day I literally said to my business partner, I said, no more are we tendering on work. From today we stop. And I said, I'm going out there. I'm good with people. I'm going out there to find the clients before they get to the designers, before they get to the project managers. And we're going to work with those clients because I know I can add a lot better value through doing that than I can just tendering on work. Anyway, the moment I did that, over the next 12 months, we just grew dramatically, and all my work was through referral. My margins literally doubled, but my clients were just seeing great value.
Yep.
And I got referrals because of that.
Do you ever have that issue of competing on price? And if so, how do you tackle it?
Yeah, look, I think everyone, can sometimes and at some point have that issue on competing with price. The way we tackle that is actually, and especially in our industry, a lot of it is about timing. So, where a lot of builders will, someone will come to them, or a tradesperson will go to them and say, oh, hey guys, we want a price to do this. And then the builder or the tradie will then come back to them 2 weeks later and go, oh yeah, look, here's your price. I had a bit of a think about it. Here's a, bit of writing on a scrap of paper, and or I did this up in Microsoft Excel. Our change in the way we looked at that was, the quicker you can get back to a client with a price in a quality format that makes them feel reassured and comfortable and confident in the person that's giving it to them, then the more likelihood you have of wiping everyone else out of the market. Because let's face it, if you give someone a quote that looks like great value, they feel confident in you, and you've done that in a quarter of the time that anyone else has, and you said, I can start next week, why will they wait around for another 2 or 3 weeks for another price or two?
And I think as well, that whole quoting process is such a good time to be educating your customer. Are you guys using Simpro for your quotations?
Yep. Yes, we do.
And are they quite, are they built out very, very well? Like, have you got a lot of information within your quotation? Like, they understand what they're getting?
Oh, 100%. So we have, we've spent a lot of time developing that. So no matter who you deal with in terms of total fit outs, you'll get exactly the same style of quote and exactly the same level of information. And we can differ that depending on the client. Some clients want, full detailed briefs, some want less detailed briefs, but we do a full scope of works in that, inclusions, exclusions. And the biggest thing, I believe, when delivering a quote, and if you want to win a quote, never, ever, ever email a quote. You need to hand deliver that baby, and you need to work through that with the client, because clients don't necessarily understand these the way you understand these.
Yeah, okay.
And you cannot communicate the same way you can in an email than you can face to face.
I suppose that's the difference between doing the scale of work that you guys would be doing. I suppose that would come into play a little bit more. I can't imagine a lot of the listeners out there that have, maintenance. Well, actually, probably not maintenance because they're on site. But where do you draw the line between, having to be physically present there all the time to, trying to operate a little bit more efficiently?
Look, and I definitely agree with that. So, we're dealing with, $100,000 to $1 million contracts.
Yeah.
That works very differently to a couple of $1,000 quote to, do some electrical work.
Right.
However, what doesn't hurt is to, if you do send that off, call the client straight away and say, hey, just letting you know, I've just sent you this email on this price. I'd love to discuss it through with you, or if you have any questions on it, please feel free to give me back. Touch base with them personally.
Yeah. It's funny, like just last week, the proposal platform that I was using crashed. And so I was left in a situation where I had to get some proposals out, but I didn't have any technology to do it. And my fellow I do some accountability planning with, he basically said, well, listen, you know what? He goes, we had a similar issue a little while ago. We canned our proposal software. We basically send them now a really simple document with the proposal on it, but we make sure that before we send it, we have gone through every single bit of what would have been in the old proposal with them personally, so they actually understand what I'm about to send them.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, yeah, that's really cool. So now I do a similar thing. Like, I always make sure that, I'm really educating the customer when I'm speaking to them about what they're going to be sent and why, what is in it. So perhaps some of the listeners out there, you guys could be doing that as well, to avoid that battling that whole competing on price scenario. Just maybe get a bit more proactive in that education space where you're telling your customer what they're getting and what they can expect and why you're different from the next person.
And I think that's a great point, Matt. You know, people need to understand what your point of difference is, and they need to understand the value that you're actually giving them, because a lot of the time, you know, they think they're comparing apples with apples and they're really not.
So on that note, what's the number one thing that you guys do to differentiate yourself?
Look, in terms of with our clients, it would have to be, I mean, look, you look at our slogan, it's Fitouts made simple. You know, everything we do, we try to make it simple for our clients. And, you know, we work in a very sophisticated industry. You know, we work with a lot of guys that are very good at what they do.
Yeah.
And I suppose with that Fitouts made simple in mind, we really try to bring that back to making the process easy for our clients and getting it in there on, you know, everyone says they get it in on time and on budget. You know, how many actually do, I'm not 100% sure, but that is one thing we really aim to do. And the second part to that is we just really try to give our clients value. You know, whether that be, like I said, in price, timing, quality, we really try to determine what their driver is and give them that.
I imagine when you're dealing with, you know, projects like you said, you know, in the millions sort of range, you would often come up against, you know, a lot of I suppose not rejection, but you know, you might have clients that are always in your face wanting answers on every little thing. Do you have a way that, you know, how do you guys manage those expectations?
Yeah, look, and you're going to get this in obviously any industry, people asking that. I think the biggest thing I try to teach our guys, and, you know, our guys actually do really, really well, is not to be reactive. You know, no matter what you do, is don't be reactive. If you don't know the answer, don't bullshit. Tell the client, I'll come back to you with that. Can you give me 24 hours? Mm-hmm. You know, I think, you know, and as long as you follow through within 24 hours. So be sure about what you respond to the client with. Don't be reactive, and then follow through.
Yeah. What about referral strategies?
Yeah. Well, now this is actually a really good one. And I've got a team, actually, they're based on the Sunshine Coast. And they are probably the most brilliant I don't even know how to say it. They're just brilliant at what they do, right? We call it in our business, we call sales and we call, you know, relationship building and all that, we call it the hustle.
Yeah.
Right. So they're the most brilliant hustlers I've seen in quite a while. And, mate, these guys do things, and I take a leaf out of their book because, you know, they've done things like, you know, they get referred a lot of work from real estate agents, so commercial real estate agents. And as you can imagine, in every organization, there's always a gatekeeper. And a lot of your listeners will actually appreciate this because, you know, if they're working in maintenance space or whatever it be with real estate agents, they know about the gatekeeper. They can be frustrating. It's that pretty young girl on the front desk, or the one that's in the 60s and really doesn't want to be there. You've got to find a way. It's almost like flirting to get a number. You know, you've got to find a way to get past this gatekeeper to get to the people that actually matter. And they do it very well by, you know, little things. They got these guys got cupcakes made with the Total Fitouts logo on it and delivered it just before morning tea to the gatekeeper and said, "Hey, just want to hope you guys have a great day. Appreciated seeing you in here last week. Here's some cupcakes. Enjoy." Yeah. They've sent flowers. They've literally done everything you can imagine to do that. And because of that, this lady said, "You're now the first person on the list for any work that comes through."
Yeah.
And they constantly get referrals from that. With their clients, they always make sure, obviously, when they finish a job, no matter if it's gone, you know, we don't always have raving clients. No matter how it ends, they ensure that they personally go there, shake hands with them, say thank you for the job, and they leave them with the gift and a nice little basket and follow through on any defects. So I think a great way to get referrals is follow through and thanking the client, being appreciative for the work that they've actually given you, because they're the reason you're in business.
Good advice. Very good advice. So, look, I suppose we're coming to the end of this little interview now. There are a couple more questions I'd like to ask you. What does the future hold for Jeremy Dyer?
Future hold for Jeremy Dyer? Mate, this next 12 months, like I said, we honour a big growth period. You know, so for me, being on a recruitment drive, a lot of my time will be spent in that strategic space. You know, I hope to do a lot more work with bigger corporates and involved in the franchise space a lot more. But, mate, you will see my face around hopefully a lot more often. And being involved in a lot more trade events and whatnot across the country. So
yeah, absolutely. And look, we'd love to make you a part of the site shed as well. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that could benefit from your expertise, I'm sure. So if you're willing to contribute, we're willing to have you.
Mate, absolutely more than happy to.
And so how can people reach out to you?
Oh, look, you can get me on several different platforms. Obviously on our website, totalfitouts.com.au, or if you're in New Zealand, .co.nz. info@totalfitouts.com.au. You can grab us on Facebook and Instagram. My personal LinkedIn, which is just under Jeremy Dyer. Or you can also find me on Facebook under Jeremy Dyer.
Well, I'll put a few links in the show notes for our listeners so they can get hold of you.
Good stuff.
All right, and last but not least, who would you like to see interviewed on the Site Shed next?
Well, I really think that your listeners would value from one of my business partners. Now, he's a bit older than me, but he's a very skilled gentleman, and he did start GJ Gardner Homes. He came from a humble chippy to now having, I think they've got between 130 and 150 franchises across Australia, New Zealand and America. They turn over $1 billion a year, and that's Greg Gardner from GJ Gardner Homes.
Fantastic. Well, I might ask you to intro us in an email and we'll get him on.
Sounds good.
Well, look, that pretty much wraps this up. So I suppose I just want to say thank you on behalf of myself and the listeners for putting the time aside to come on the show today. I know you're a busy man, so it's very much appreciated.
Mate, anytime, Matt. More than happy to.
And I'd also like to thank Matt for the referral. Thank you, Matt. That was fantastic. And look, we'll definitely keep in touch in the future, and we'll involve you wherever we can in the program. And look forward to having you a part of it.
No, great, mate. Really value it, and thanks to the listeners as well.
Rock and roll. Well, that, folks, is a wrap. So if you haven't already, head across to thesiteshed.com and register for our Toolbox Talks, where you'll be regularly sent great episodes just like this straight to your inbox, so you'll never miss one. If you want to join the community, you can head across to thesiteshed.com/members, where for a small monthly fee, you'll get access to regularly updated training material, as well as access to our forum, where you can mingle and collaborate with trade-based business owners just like you from all over the world. If you're enjoying this podcast, please head across to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. We greatly appreciate it, and it helps us spread the word and reach the masses. Likewise, if you know anyone that might benefit from the content we create, then please go ahead and share this with them.
You've been listening to Toolbox Talks by The Site Shed. For more great content just like this, head across to thesiteshed.com and join the amazing community of savvy trade-based business owners.